Hey, welcome. I am so happy that you're here. You're about to watch a replay of a workshop that I did called Building an Online Business as a Creative Entrepreneur in 5 Simple Steps. In this workshop, I'm going to show you the 5 foundational pieces that I've found through years of working with a bunch of businesses, both small and big, of how you can get started and build a business that you really love. There's more in that introduction, but I want to let you know there is a workbook that you can download at the link below in the show notes. And that workbook is going to help you do a little bit of mindset work. It also has a comprehensive list of platforms that you can start using right now to make money by selling your art or your writing and doing your self-publishing and your photography, all of that good stuff. So I put that list together for you. Go ahead and download it, and I will see you soon. I can't wait for you to watch this workshop. I had a lot of fun doing it. Okay, bye. Enjoy. Welcome. You guys are in the right place if you've been wondering how to use the internet, like what is the how behind how all these people are making money off the internet doing what they love. We see them every day. They're living their best life on Instagram, and we want to build a career on our own terms, doing what we love and being able to pay the bills and no longer feel like we're beholden to all of these things that we feel like we should be doing. And it can be overwhelming for people because there's so many options out there and so many shiny objects out there that we can start down one road, and it might be really frustrating because we don't see the results immediately. So while we're waiting for the results to come in, then all of a sudden we see this other thing and we see someone else doing something. We're like, oh, we should be doing that instead. And it can be really confusing and overwhelming. And I see so many people just eventually give up because it becomes too much. And what I will say is before I was a life coach, which is what I've been doing for the last 4 years, I was a marketing executive for about 10 years. And in that role, I worked for a Fortune 500 company. And then I worked with countless small businesses, from home builders to app creators to music therapists to all kinds of people. And what I can say is that no two businesses are the same. No two visions are the same. And so, as I give you this information, I want you to realize that not anything in here is going to be the one size fits all. This is what you're going to do. But I'm going to tell you that out of all of those things, all of those businesses that I helped and worked with, there were foundational fundamental elements in place, and these businesses put those things in place, and I'm going to go ahead and share those with you, those 5 things, and then they just kept working at it. So what I invite you to do as creative intuitives is to pay attention to what really lights you up. So think about, let's do an exercise real quick. I want you to think about something that you feel really connected to, or a time that you felt really well communicated with. And as you think about that, what sensory input are you paying attention to? Is it a gut feeling? Is it a visual? Is it something that you heard? Was it something that clicked in your brain? And you might be one of those people that gets that gut feeling and knows that they're ready to go. You might hear something and it ignites something inside of you, or the visual of something is what really gets you going. I want you to pay attention to those feelings, like know that about yourself, like going into this. And as I talk about some of the different options that are available to you as an online entrepreneur, I want you to pay attention to when that sensory modality really starts to light up for you. Okay. So, with that being said, I think most of you know me, and I'm so happy to see you, Carly. It's been forever. So, welcome to this great little tribe of people that are like old but new and new and new, and I'm just so happy. What a great way to start a week. Um, So, in your pre work, in the workbook, you guys, for any of you who are new here, or if you haven't picked it up, there is a workbook for every single workshop that I do. And I ask you to set an intention for the workshop. And that's because if we can show up and we can do things and we can go through the motions, but if we take 1 second to set an intention for our time for what we're doing, whether it's a conversation with a friend, or cooking a meal for our children or somebody that we love, or going for a walk, like what are we doing and what is the intention that you need today to fill you up? So I invite you to just kind of think about your intention of being here, because if you create that intention, it's going to connect you with your desires more. And it's just one of those little things that you can take time, send that energy out there, and increase the chances of your desired results. Nobody here has the exact same thing that they want to do, right? That we have a writer, we have a musician, we have someone who just stepped into her journey as a coach, we have someone who's awesome with animals. And Hannah, I'm sorry, I'm not quite sure I know what you do. If you want to share with me in the chats, you're more than welcome to, but it's up to you. And so state your intention. My intention is to empower you with the knowledge about online marketing and internet businesses that I've accrued over 15 years in my career, so that you can make decisions and move forward and really increase your confidence in your abilities to do what you love and align with what that is for you, so that you can like really truly shine. Okay. I think another thing that's really good to do, or to worth acknowledging and considering before we get into the 5 things, is the pre-work. Again, in your workbook, there was a quick little exercise. A lot of times when we hear about ways that we can get what we want, there's an old pattern running that is based on all sort of photography and writing. Thank you, Hannah. Thank you. I think I knew that from sometime. So, okay, we have a photographer, we have a musician, we have a writer. Kelly, we have someone who's really good with animals, and we have someone who's just stepped into her journey as a coach. So we have a wide swath of people doing all sorts of different things. And that is just so exciting. And I want you to know that these tools are going to help all of you if you decide that they can help you. So to the point that I was just starting to get on is that there's old programs running, and those old programs are based on things that people have told us, programs that were programmed in the first 7 years of our life about how things can be easy, how things can be difficult, how we're worthy of certain things, how we're capable of certain things, deserving of certain things. It can be run on more recent failures, or times where we've given up on ourselves, or where things didn't quite go the way that we wanted. So you might get information in here and you might feel that modality, that sensory modality, whether it's your gut feeling or like something just clicks in your mind or whatever it is. And then if you notice another voice coming in saying like, oh no, that's not going to work for you, that's a scam, or that only works for whoever, or that's going to be too difficult, or any of that, I want you to go back to your workbook and write out those thoughts. Give a voice to those thoughts, like, I'm not going to figure it out. And then on the next page, I want you to write out, what do you want instead? What do you choose to believe and think and know instead in this moment? Like, I can't figure it out. Of course, I can figure it out. And just write it out, and do that as many times as you need to, either in your workbook or in your notebook or your journal. And this is a daily practice for yours truly and for a lot of other people who are even levels above me. So there's nothing wrong with you if there's something, if this is something that you have to do. It's rewiring yourself. So I just wanted to get into the mindset stuff just a little bit so you can align further with the possibilities before we get into some of the practical things. Because as you guys know, I love the mindset. I love the emotional healing. I love the neuro programming. But today is really about the practical steps because we can do all the spiritual stuff, we can do all the meditating, we can do all the affirmations. But at the end of the day, you guys, we have to take action. And that's what today's workshop is all about. And I'm trying to balance these workshops a little bit between more of the practical and some of the mindset stuff, but I have to get into mindset. So yeah, again, the pre-work, what could go wrong, cross it out and talk about what could go right. So without any further ado, here we go, you guys. These are the five. Oh, another thing is I'm going to be taking questions every single step of the way. We have to keep this within an hour. So it's kind of hot seat coaching. It's a little like hot and direct. But if there's one of these steps and you're like, you need help untangling, I'll pause and you can put your questions in the chat. Okay. So, step number one is really simple. You get to decide that you're going to do it in the first place. So many of us are like, we dream about doing it, we think about doing it, we analyze the possibilities. And instead of and we analyze the way that things could go wrong. So we have one foot in and one foot out. And it's not going to work like that. I understand a lot of people on this call have full time jobs or family to take care of and everything. And I understand that that can take some of the energy, but you have to energetically have 2 feet in the decision that you're going to write, that you're going to coach, that you're going to write songs, that you're going to do the photography and just absolutely go for it, right? Even though life has a lot of obligations for all of us, just the decision, everything starts with a decision. So that's really the first step. So if you're still unclear on what you're going to do, I don't think that's really anyone on this call live, but I do want to offer a couple of questions for people who might be listening to this on the podcast replay or on the YouTube replay. Some of the questions you might want to ask yourself if you're ever feeling unclear and you need an answer for yourself, ask clarifying questions. So I don't think anyone here is at this, but here's some questions anyway, just in case this might enhance something for you. If you're not fully decided, like, this is what I want to do, what do I really love doing, making, or helping people with? Number two, what do people seem to naturally and consistently seek me out for? And also, what do I see other people doing successfully that I secretly wish I was doing as well? AKA, what do you gravitate toward? And, I'd be willing to bet dollars to donuts that all of you on here, or any of you listening in the future, already know. It's this quiet whisper or a voice that you've been trying to put away in your mind for so long. And really, step one is about the courage to just say what it is. I have this cool little, like, 7-day boot camp that I do or it's like an automated online thing. And the first step is really anchoring into what it is in your vision and owning it. This is where the internal dialogues of, like, who do you think you are? I mean, I know when I first started out as a coach, I was like, wait, I don't have a psychology degree. I have an English degree. Who do I think I am to, like, be helping people or anything like that? And that really slowed me down. It probably put me back about 5 years at least. Like, I knew what I wanted to do, but it was so scary to just decide. So you get to decide. And I promise you, there's a part of you that already knows. So I guess another clarifying question would be, this isn't in the workbook, so if you want to write it down, another clarifying question would be, if I wasn't scared, what would I allow myself to say? That one is always, it's a little rough sometimes. Step two is really picking a platform, because we're talking, and you guys, if you have questions later, like, I'll come back to them. Okay. So here we go. Here we get into the meat of the online world. Step number two is picking a platform. And there are 3 different models that I have seen over my years of working with businesses and running my own businesses that you can go with. You can go primarily third-party platform such as eBay, CD Baby, Amazon, or Etsy. The advantages to that are that their interface is set up and that you don't have to build anything from the ground up, right? And it's just kind of like seamless, all of that good stuff. Another option is you build your own private website and you start driving traffic to that website. And the advantages to that is that you own it. That's your corner of the internet and it's like your home. So as you start building an audience and building your network and everything, you can invite people into your home and they can know more about you. Now there's a hybrid model of both. So both of best of both worlds. Again, I want to remind you to take a breath and just kind of tune into yourself like what feels good, what feels intuitive, what makes sense to you, what sounds right, what looks good to you. Okay. Just pay attention to that. Now, I also want to mention that a lot of people think that the success is in the platform. Like if I do Etsy, then I will finally make it. Or if I build my website on Wix, then I will finally make it. I just went through this like 6 month tech transition onto an all in one platform for coaches, and it's awesome. And it's not going to be the thing that helps me make it. The thing that's going to help you make it is you showing up consistently and continuing to go back to step one and deciding every single day that this is going to be what it is that you're doing and putting out content and building your audience, which we'll talk about a little bit later, and inviting people onto the platform where you are and driving traffic. The trick is not, the secret sauce is not in Amazon versus some other platform. The secret sauce is in you. I want you to understand that is that it's always in you just showing up. Now, with that being said, can you make more informed decisions about what platform and what model to really go with? Now, these are the guiding and clarifying questions in your workbook. So for some of these, you want to look at, will you keep the rights to your work, especially for artists? There's some platforms out there and there's lists in your workbook for artists, for photographers, for writers. You want to make sure that you keep the rights to your work. So you want to do that research. That is something that you don't want to just like intuit your way into. You want to think about, if you're doing a third party platform, do you want a subscription cost platform or a commission platform? What works best for you? Does that platform have reach and popularity to expose you to new audiences? Because that would be one of the major advantages to a third party platform. And how much traffic do they get? Number 4 would be, who are the other creatives that they support? Do they get what you do? Because not every, just because you're a photographer doesn't mean that every photography sales platform or website building platform understands who you are as an artist. Conversely, will you get lost in the noise? So you want to find a platform that is like congruent with who you are and what you do. Also, how are you going to be able to stand out as well? And again, that's not, the onus isn't always on the third party, but you do want to see how they handle that. And I saw a couple of people in these reviews while I was looking at some of these platforms where they were like, well, I could see that I wasn't going to stand out on X. So I went over here and they allowed me on there and I stand out and it gets me more traffic. There's a little bit of testing that you get to do. And also like doing the research and figuring it out. You want to read reviews or connect with people in your Facebook groups or online, or maybe like Quora has something, or Reddit, who can vouch for the good and the bad of the platform. And does the platform work well with website integration if you already have a website? Now, these questions can go for private websites as well. You want to know, like, if you choose a website platform such as like Squarespace or something, and you want to integrate a Shopify store or an Etsy store, is there a plugin for that? So step 2 takes a little bit of slowing down, a little bit of research. And one thing that I do want to say about this is that I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend a hybrid model, knowing that it takes a little more time. But the thing is about the hybrid model is that you start to like really own your corner of the internet. Maybe at first you're using the power of Amazon or the power of Etsy and stuff like that, but eventually you're able to pull people back into your world and kind of keep them there, like find a way to get them off of Amazon and keep them there on your website, on your mailing list. And I'm kind of getting a couple of steps ahead. So the advantage of like Amazon, Etsy, all of those things is that it's built, it's done. You contact them, you give them your information, they handle all of it for you. The disadvantage is that they're going to take a cut, and also we cannot control Amazon, Etsy, whatever it is. We don't know what's going to happen to them. We don't know what internet laws there's going to be. We cannot control it. So, my recommendation to people is you don't have to have this done all immediately, but I want you to have something that you own, like a little corner of the internet that you own. And I mean, I'm getting ahead of myself, but this is so important because we don't know what's going to happen with all of these tech platforms, right? So, finding a way to maybe at the very least do the hybrid. Now, with the private websites, the disadvantage is the advantage is you own your little corner of the internet. You have your little home on the internet that you can invite people into. The disadvantage is really more in the front end. If you don't have experience building a website, it might feel a little intimidating, but I want to tell you right now with Squarespace, with Weebly, with Wix, all of these websites now have become so user friendly and so intuitive that it is really quite simple to build a basic website. Go to GoDaddy, buy a domain name. I highly recommend your own name, and just do it. So it might feel a little intimidating, but YouTube is your friend. There's plenty of troubleshooting videos on YouTube. Your Facebook groups are your friend, and you can always hire a coach and invest in yourself to have someone just support you and get you through that hump, right? So that's the disadvantage. You have to do a little more legwork in the front end, but at the end, it's like it's your home, you know? In your workbook, there are the private website platforms, and I tell you what to look at your websites for online businesses. You want to make sure that there's payment integration because we're talking about building a business, not a charity. It's okay. We got to make money, right? You're looking for e-commerce capabilities. I know Squarespace has it. I just built my website on Clixly. They have it. WordPress is going to have plugins. Most of them these days will, right? You want to make sure that these private websites have integration with any desired third-party platform. So if you want to integrate with Shopify or Kindle or anything like that, are they able to do that for you? Is the website platform easy for you to navigate and update? Again, this is not the secret sauce is not in Weebly versus Squarespace. The secret sauce is in you showing up and working on it every single day that you possibly can, right? So you want to make sure that when you show up to this platform, you feel good signing into it, you know, and all of these places have like little free trials. So you can kind of like dink around and again, pay attention. Does it look good? Does it like sound good? Does it feel good? Does it just like make sense in your mind? Okay. So, let's see. Let's see. Is there anything else that I want to go over? Yeah, just what feels good for you. Now, when I'm saying like just makes sense, again, there is legwork, there is learning work. If you're not familiar with website building, be patient with yourself or hire somebody. It's so if you have the resources, hire someone. It's okay. It's okay to get that help. So I'm going to pause right here. That's kind of a dense one. What do you guys have it? Yeah. Do you guys have any questions about any of that? Do people kind of know, like, are you going to do the hybrid model? Are you going to do the private website model? Are you going to go fully third party? Oh, and in the workbook, I put together clickable links for third party platforms for visual artists, for musicians, for writers who want to self publish. And for photographers, like some of the lesser known, like I didn't put like Shutterstock or anything like that in there. Just a couple of other ones that are kind of off the radar. So literally for your crafts, these are with the exception of you, Carly, these are the places where you can literally go start making money right now. I want to say a note for actors. We don't have any actors live on the call, but for anyone like watching the replay or listening to the podcast, it's a little bit different for actors. You can start building your audience obviously on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook and drive it, like find ways to create a tip jar or something like that. But you want to be getting yourself out there. And then if you're going to do the hybrid model, you want to bring your content back onto your website. So if you're doing silly skits on Instagram, like there's this actor called the Luke Cook on Instagram. He does this stupidest stuff all the time, but I check his Instagram every day. It's these great skits. I absolutely adore them. But then he brings them back to his own website, right? Patreon, you can do a subscription based model to start building your audience and then telling them that, like for X amount of dollars, they can get access to your exclusive content. And then there's always YouTube and monetizing YouTube, building an audience that way. And that's perfect for like longer skits. And there's some really great YouTubers out there. I know like TikTok is the hot thing and all of that. But again, with all of these platforms, I have to reiterate, we don't own them. Unless you're watching this and you own any of these platforms, call me. Let's talk. I want to know about some stuff. That's just something I wanted to say specifically for actors. Step 3, let's see if there's any questions. I plan and am working on my website. And Hannah, do you have any questions about it? Is there anything that you're running into? I'll just unmute you, or I'll ask you to unmute if that's okay.
Right now I'm just I had taken some of my photos I had taken, put them on canvas. So now it's just transferring them onto my website, and I'm on GoDaddy.com right now. And
Okay.
then as soon as I can, I'm gonna upgrade to the premium. So I have higher access to some of the templates that they have.
Some of the templates. And are you finding that have you been looking at like, well, let me ask you this. Are you finding that it's pretty user friendly?
Yes, I tried Wix at first,
Mhm.
and I didn't like how the outcome was for that. So then I had gone to GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy.com seems more affordable,
Uh-huh.
and seems right now it seems to be more user friendly than Wix.
Okay. And I love that because again, I want to reiterate to everyone that it's like it's down to preference. You know what I mean? Like, and thanks for I didn't even put GoDaddy on the private website list. So that works for you. You enjoy going into GoDaddy. You plan on upgrading when that's something for you. And have you started looking ahead for, like gallery integration and payment integration? Are those things
I
you're
look
thinking about, or you're just kind of like at the beginning basic steps?
I'm finishing up the basic steps going into the gallery integration. I haven't quite gone as far as the payment integration yet, but what I do like about GoDaddy versus Wix is that the e-commerce part um, seems to be more efficient on
Okay.
GoDaddy than on Wix.
Okay. That's good to know. May I ask what was happening on Wix that made it like not so payment efficient? I haven't been on Wix in about 5 years.
Well, Wix, it doesn't really show, even in the upgrade, it doesn't show an option for e-commerce.
Oh,
It's just a basic from the research and stuff that I had done. On GoDaddy.com, it was, everything was labeled out, what plan you want, and everything was broken down into what a person with a want to do a website was looking for. So if you
okay.
don't want an e-commerce website, then there's options for that. If you
Okay.
do like myself, because I'm selling my photos on um, like Canvas and posters and stuff like that, then there's that option and at GoDaddy, and it's more seems to be more affordable.
Okay. Cool. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. And you're in the Facebook group, right?
I believe so. I'm not sure.
I think you are. Keep us posted. I want to know how it goes. Okay. And if
Right.
not, join. I
Okay.
think you are. All right. I'm going to mute you again. And step three is it's building your own little corner of the internet, which I understand. Like this is, I'm really hammering this home, but this can either be a private website, which I've talked about ad nauseum, so I won't talk about it anymore. But if you're not going to do that, at least find a way to start collecting emails. All right. Having an email list of people who have said in one way or another, yes, I want to hear from you and I want to keep on hearing from you is so incredibly valuable. Having that database. I saw on Carly's Instagram stories the other day that she is actually mailing things out to people. And I'm like, that is so cool and so old. Can you imagine like getting like a beautiful letter from someone? And there's all kinds of ways you can do it. So, and since this class is about online business, I'm going to talk about email, but I also want to like let you guys know that there's options out there for you if you feel inspired to reach out to people in old school, tactile, like actual touchable ways, right? I think that's so beautiful. There's different, if you're not going to build your own private website, start collecting emails one way or another. You can create a form, like even a simple Google Doc, and put that link into your social media and start saying like, hey, sign up for blah blah blah. And then as you start getting those emails, either put them into an Excel sheet and use them with just your Gmail, or if you're going to get fancy and buy a domain and your name at yourdomain.com, start putting it into whatever CRM you have. I think that would be another thing to consider with all of these platforms is, do they help you collect people's contacts? There will be different capabilities with different websites. Clixly is what I just upgraded to, and they tag everyone in the back end and they make it really easy for me to export it to my email database. If you guys are not going to do a website but you're willing to start collecting email addresses and you want to use an email platform, marketing platform, I always recommend MailChimp, especially when you're getting started. It's simple, it's user friendly, it has everything you need, it has all the integrations you need. It's not a problem at all. When you get a little more advanced, if you and you want to get more segmented into the future, there's other options for you, but this is all for like people who are just basically getting started. So, okay, you're either going to have the private website, which I've talked about, and then the email addresses. Now, I know coaches like Marie Forleo, who does B School, which she's really great too. She started her list. I mean, she's been on like Oprah and she's like, she's the bee's knees. She started with a legal pad and going around to people. Like she taught dance classes, she was a bartender. She said, would you write your email down? Would you be willing to be a part of my email list? These are all people saying, yes, please, I want to hear from you. Okay. And they will continue to hear from you. And don't be alarmed if you start a MailChimp and someone unsubscribes from you. I probably get about 10 unsubscribes for every email that I send out. And I say to those people, bless you. I am so happy that there is like more clarity and digital space in your world. I was not contributing to it. Be well. Like that's how I feel about it. And it's more space for my people, like the right people to come into. So that's another little mindset thing. I remember at the beginning, I'd see an unsubscribe and be like, what did I do wrong? It's never about you, it's always about them. Okay. All right. That was jumping ahead to step four as well. Start collecting the email addresses. So MailChimp is easy to use. Step five is start building your audience and network. Even before you have a song to share, before you have a coaching offer, before you have a book, before you have photos, before everything is all patched up and ready to go, you can still be out there building your network, engaging in Facebook groups where, like, start thinking about your ideal audience and your ideal client. Where are they hanging out? It might not necessarily, like for me, right? I don't think people are saying like, "Oh, I wanna hang out in a Facebook group that's run by a life coach for artists." No one's doing that, like, I have to go find them and bring them into my world, and where are they? My ideal client avatar is hanging out in spaces of, like, creativity, like, Nick and I know each other because we're both obsessed with Bret Easton Ellis. We're like, go find those people, like, who are the people who are going to really relate to your music? Like, are they going to be teenagers, and what are they thinking about? Where are they hanging out? Or is it going to be older people? Whatever it is, who is your photography going to appeal to? So find those Facebook groups, find those live meetups. I think everyone is, like, really excited to be out and connecting with people now. There's nothing like the power of in-person connection. I know we're talking about an online business, but you guys, supplementing it with live connection, in-person connection, and going through with it that way is that starts getting the word of mouth out as well. You meet someone in person, they're more likely to share your posts, share your songs, all of that good stuff when they're there. So start building the network even before you have something to offer. A month before I got my coaching certification, I was out there, like, networking in all these groups, and I was standing up in front of these groups saying, "I'm a life coach and I will start taking clients in a month." Or I have availability for clients in a month. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what I was going to be doing or anything like that, but I was creating the interest. I was going out there and letting people know that I was going to be available. And it's not always about you too. It's always about adding value to other people's lives. Like, one of my favorite things to do is to go on Shaper, SHAPR, and connect with people and listen to them. What do they really need? If they're struggling with something and I come across a podcast episode, just, like, send it to them. Building your networks that way, building your audience that way, and always inviting them, like, "Hey, do you want to come into, like, my Facebook group? Do like, or do you want to follow me on YouTube? I have videos on coping with anxiety, things like that. Yeah. So, and another thing is building your audience and network. There are so many freaking social media platforms, and it can be so easy to feel really overwhelmed. And my recommendation to anyone first starting out, hopefully one day you have money for a content team and they can put you on all the social medias that there ever were, right? But when you're first starting out and it's only you, I invite you to choose one or two platforms and go for it there. Some of you have already heard this from me in previous workshops, but you can't do all the work with all the platforms. So again, I want you to do what I asked you to do at the beginning. What platforms feel really good or make sense to you or look good or sound good to you to show up at, and go all in there? One or two. Seriously, one or two. I do Instagram and my Facebook group, and I do my Facebook page, but, like, there's no energy over there. It's all in my group and on my Instagram. That's where I engage. The only reason I post on my Facebook page is because I schedule. So it's just easier that way. And then you go all in on those places as people start to join and follow you and engage. If people show up and start, like, giving you love, like, give them love back. Even if it's the same one person over and over again, give them so much love, because it's going to be that one person that leads to two people, and that turns into four, and that turns into 16, and on and on and on. Give so much love to those original people that are just, like, cheering you on from the very beginning, because seriously, they are everything, and they're watching you grow, they're watching you put yourself out there. And there's an artist, a musician that I follow that I met through another Facebook group. She has never been my client, she's not in my Facebook group. I had a call with her. I really like her. She just created a song and I thought, oh my gosh, my friend Ishmael Butler, who is in Shabazz Palaces, formerly Diggable Planets, he would love this girl's vibe. So I sent him the song via Instagram and he wrote me a couple of days back. He's like, she's got a really good vibe. She's really sweet. Thank you. You never know who that one, what one person knows another person that's just going to one off send a song to someone who may or may not like do something for you. So keep showing up, keep being of value to people, keep being in service to your audience. I just mentioned Shaper, it's SHAPR. This is an app that like Tinder and LinkedIn had a baby, and there is a free version, and you can swipe right on people. Don't just swipe right, like set up your profile so that you're connecting with your ideal audience, okay? So if I just put in like life coaching, then I'm going to get matched with a bunch of other life coaches. I love networking with life coaches. I can't be the life coach for everybody, but I want everyone to have life coaches. So I want to have a database of great life coaches. But I'm trying to connect with agents, gallery owners, managers, the artists themselves, so I can be of value to them in a relationship and maybe eventually invite them into my world, my corner of the world. I always go for on Shaper, I always ask them initially to be on my email list, always, always, always. And then from my email list, they'll learn about my Facebook group so they can engage with me that way. And sometimes they're like, no, just let's just connect on Instagram, and that's fine too. But again, for reasons I've already said, I try to get them onto my email list. And then again, go to live events. That is it. Those are the 5 steps. You get to decide. You get to decide where and how you want to build your platform. You get to build out that little corner of the internet, of the online world for yourself. And then you get to start collecting email addresses. This is a non negotiable, and then start building your audience and network. And these are the foundational steps, you guys. It's simple, but it requires you to be consistent and come back to step one every single day. That deciding that this is what you want, and this is what you deserve, and this is what you're going to go after, and doing the mind work and making sure that you can align to it every single day. So